I turn the comments on.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Sci-Fi Distilled. Today we have Dave Laffredo joining us again, and we're doing one of my favorite shows from when I was a teenager, the BBC's version of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, of course, based on the original book by Douglas Adams by the same name. There was also previously adapted from the radio program, which the BBC had run. Welcome, Dave and Mary Beth, as usual.
Hi, guys.
So let's get to the drink right away. Because I always forget. So I'm going to do the drink. So if you give me, and of course, doing Hitchhiker's Guide, you guys already probably know. Of course, I posted it online. We're doing the Pan-Galactic Gargle Blaster, which, you know, is a fictional drink. But this version is gin, light rum, vodka, tequila, creme de menthe, some Galliano, and ice. And of course, you top it off with a lemon that has
Now,
to
I understand there's multiple variations of that drink.
If you go online, this is just the one I thought looked pretty darn good. So we're going to go with that. Of course, it's not a real drink, folks. It won't knock your brains out with a piece of gold.
Cheers, mates.
You know, I'm spacey and I'm green, so it's green.
It's green.
And I'm not drinking the Gargle Blaster. I'm drinking my face hugger, Midori and basil seed drink.
Midori and basil. That looks fascinating.
Tadpole-like floaties.
That is very strange with the basil seed, I must say, Dave. So, Hitchhiker's Guide. I remember reading this book as a teenager. I think I read it when it first came out, or pretty darn close to when it first came out. Loved it. Loved all the subsequent books. Thought it was hysterical. One of the only books I think I've ever read where I was laughing out loud while I was reading it because of its bizarre nature. And of course, BBC to me did a really great job of adapting this for television. They were really true to the book for the most part. Dialogue and everything was good. The casting was great. Everything just really seemed to work. It had a very, if you watch Doctor Who of that era of the late 70s and 80s,
yes,
it had a very, very Doctor Who feel to the effects, which made sense. It was the BBC creating. It was the same people that did the Tom Baker and era of Doctor Who. So I don't want to talk all night.
Well, for me, Peter Jones as the voice of the book was perfect.
Oh, absolutely.
That's just what that voice in my head is. The
quintessential British narrator. You know,
Yes.
I want to get to see who I can. Whoops, I always do this. I want to see who's online. Just want to say
we have Captain
John,
Phil is here. Stuart Foley is here.
Dennis, of course, welcome.
Stu's here. Martin Ben. Hi, Martin.
So thank you guys for joining us. Please feel free to comment if you have any thoughts about the show. So what we were talking about earlier, this show does have a ton of connections to Doctor Who and almost none to Star Trek.
Roads do not lead to Star Trek
in this one, not to Star Trek.
Roads lead to Doctor Who and a couple of paths to space 1999.
Yeah, so why don't you tell us about those?
I can, if I can pull up my notes here. So yeah, 1 million paths to Doctor Who. Not just the cast, the crew too, but probably the biggest, well, there are two big ones. The two that jump out at you are David Prowse, who of course played the embodiment of Darth Vader in Star Trek. He also had a turn on Space 1999, and
Star Wars.
He also had a turn.
I know there's not much difference, but it's
Star Wars. My bad. I did that on another episode too. I was like, blah blah blah.
That was the best line. That was the best line in one of the Big Bang theories. They're like, "What's the difference? There isn't any."
I should be taking out a shot. They're gonna take away my nerd card if I don't. They're gonna take away my geek card. And so David Prowse done a bunch, and then the other really big name. I mean, there were a couple big names. Valentin Dial is like the British Vincent Price, and he played Deep Thought, and he did Doctor Who and stuff like that. But the other kind of actor that you will recognize is Aubrey Morris. And if you remember this, Hitchhikers, he played the B arc captain, the captain who was always in the bathtub. And he played on Space 1999. He did Mission of the Darians. He was on the Avengers with Diana Rigg. He was on The Prisoner. He was on The Saint. He was in A Clockwork Orange. He was on Babylon 5. He worked all the way up till It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He worked right up until his death in 2015. So he is probably the most prolific of all of them. And the other kind of notable name was Peter Davison, who played the dish of the day. It's like, would you like a nice piece of my shoulder?
But he was also Trillian's husband.
Yes, that's right. Peter and Sandra, what was her last name? Sorry. Whoever played Trillian, Sandra
Dickinson. Sandra
They
Dickinson.
were married for a short bit. And Peter played the fifth Doctor. And was it their daughter or was it another daughter of Peter's who ended up marrying David Tennant, who played,
Doctor.
10.
Yo, I don't know which. 10 or 11, I think.
So
I don't know.
it's
Somebody
all in the Doctor Who family. It really is.
It is. But going back to David Prowse for a second, I just wanted to point out that the scene where he shows up in the restaurant at the end of the universe, where
As the bodyguard,
as the bodyguard, he picks up Ford Prefect just like in Star Wars.
Yeah, you're right.
I never picked that up, but that is funny. We should note that it does take the first two books and really
it kind of smushes restaurant into Hitchhikers.
Yeah, it's actually the two stories. So it's the second book is the restaurant at the end of the universe, and the BBC's version covers both books.
Answer me this, you guys. So I read this knowing it was
Oh, she's frozen.
British. I expected British sense of humor. I expected British sensibilities in the book, and I guess I also expected it in this miniseries. And did you guys notice that both Trillian and Zaphod had a bunch of them all had American accents? They're British, but they were using American accents.
Well, I think somebody can correct me online, but I think Trillian was actually supposed to be an American.
I don't know if she was American or not. I know she was from Earth.
Yeah, fine. Of course, she's from Earth, but
Zaphod.
Well, Zaphod's from another planet. Who knows? Yeah, I guess I never really picked up on that. Again, being
David
American,
Prowse has a go at he tries an American accent. It doesn't come out too good. He has lines.
Other head had the British accent. So.
Okay. That would make sense.
But no. Let's talk about the British humor for a second. One thing that I didn't realize until recently was that Douglas Adams actually wrote for Monty Python. He's one of the few writers who's been credited as writing for Monty Python.
Yeah.
So he is, and that humor, that sort of wry, absurdist humor, is very much of a kind with all the Python humor, and it's probably why we all still quote it, years after years.
Yeah. And the story actually, had a bit of a jibe at society and bureaucracy and the silliness of it. Certainly with the Vogons, and even the whole thing that we're gonna knock down we're gonna ruin destroy your planet for a hyperspace bypass, which is the exact thing that Arthur was laying in front of when we see him at the first, laying in front of the bulldozers. So that because they're going to put in a highway bypass in front of his house, and they're like, oh well, it's been on file down on the 11th
and why
basement,
didn't you go
whatever.
It?
It's like
in the basement.
Oh, this has been on file at your local Alpha Centauri, government, or nobody would ever find it. And then of course the Vogons have to have a paperwork and everything to do anything. They just can't.
So Martin, who I believe is British. Martin, are you British? Can you type if you are, aren't you? Martin is saying in the radio play she was British. The Trillian character is British, and he's also reminding me that Douglas Adams wrote for Doctor Who, and that Douglas. But to your point, Dave, I don't know. I always thought it was delightfully irreverent, but now I kind of realize they look into the face of existentialism, where everyone else looks and sees despair and angst. Douglas Adams and other writers of his kind look into the face of existentialism and find humor, which is kind of genius.
The absurdity of life.
He just strings it together so well too, because you go from like one thing to the other, and then when you have the narrations in the beginning, he's talking about things like in the Hitchhiker's Guide, the book itself, or something. When he's going on the stories about the worst poetry, it's just hysterical. And then the other things about the other books that were more popular, and it was all these books about God. And the last one, I think when I laughed the first one, who is this God person anyway?
Who is this God anyway? Yeah.
It's like, so and then the whole essence, there was a whole thing about God. He kind of does jibe at religion pretty hard.
Yeah.
or God,
Yes.
the
whole proof, the whole
disappears in a puff
Babelfish.
of logic.
Yeah, the Babelfish being proof. So yes, Martin is British.
Right.
Okay, Martin, you're going to be our go-to guy tonight for all our points on the British versus American stuff. So,
but yeah, so I don't know. I assume everybody knows the story. I don't know if we need to go through the rough version of it, but as we open, we learn that Arthur Dent, our hero, who is a kind of a frumpy, single, average English bloke who is having his house bulldozed by the government to make room for a road, and he's stopping it. And then his friend Ford Prefect shows up, and Ford Prefect, we find out, is an alien who has been living on the planet and filling in the details for Earth, and he's got stuck here for the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is, the original version said harmless. Now it says mostly harmless. So he basically tries to rescue. He's finding out that the Vogons are on their way to destroy the planet for a hyperspace bypass, and he was able to get him and hitchhike him and Arthur onto the Vogon destructor fleet, which then goes horribly bad because Vogons hate stowaways. So that's kind of the beginning part. Of course, Arthur is there. You always need a towel. That's kind of one of the obscure things that you never really, grab your towel and they go and they drink. That was the other thing I always have. You got to hear like 4 pints of beer. It's like, oh no, you need to numb yourself for the trans mat or whatever. And then of course the Babelfish, which is the universal translator. It goes in your ear and translates whatever you hear.
That's the thing. There's so many concepts or quotes or lines or what have you that came from here. It rivals, Princess Bride and all these other sort of pop culture nexuses of ideas.
Most people, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Jay, but most people that's ever had any brush with this or science fiction and they know 40. As soon as you hear the number 42, everybody says, "Oh, that's the answer to life, the universe, and everything."
They know what it is.
Every 42 has become. And there was an article where somebody figured out some weird mathematical science galactic formula, and it was like 42. It was like 42.
Really?
And people were like freaking out, like, "Oh my god!"
That's cool.
Of course, we don't know what the question is, but the answer is 42.
That's right.
So that's the whole thing.
Martin is reminding us that Ford was named after a car.
Right, he was. That is true. A car that was not built in this country, it was built in Britain. Ford didn't build a Prefect.
Martin says he didn't have a towel till he got on the Vogon ship. I think in the book they make a point of him getting the towel.
I'm pretty sure that he grabs a towel. Again, I haven't read. I should reread it. I haven't read it.
You know what, Martin? On the in the miniseries, they're on the Vogon ship,
You're right. He gets it.
Ford starts looking, he just starts opening lockers and looking, and he finds 2 random towels. So he's like, okay, here's 2 towels for us.
And he finds the purple, whatever it is, and puts the green relish on it, and he eats it. This is the schmoopy or something like that. Schmoopiest, whatever, some alien lingo. But
Captain Phil, hang on, Phil. I gotta read all this.
Phil's got a novel there.
Yeah. You can talk amongst yourselves while I digest this, and then I'll report back.
So, the thing is, this has been tread and retread for so many years, because first we had the radio program, and I remember listening to the radio program. Then you had the television, and then, you had all the books, and then they did another movie, which basically kind of did the same jokes. And the BBC's come up with another radio program, I think more recently, taking the story forward a little bit. And I have a deep love for this, but I know the jokes by heart already. It's kind of like listening to a Bob Newhart album, where you've heard the same sketch again and again and again. And I don't know, but I think that's one of the reasons the movie, the recent movie, just kind of fell flat with me.
Yeah.
Because
The purist in us want to hear the jokes and everything laid out exactly as it was in the book and pretty much the way it was with the BBC show.
Yeah.
And the movie kind of, they kept some stuff, but then they went off the rails on other parts.
Yes.
And
they kept some things, some lines word for word, but then they took a hard left with the plot.
Yeah,
and
the plot had like this whole extra storyline that, yeah, it was.
But in the movie's favor, I actually thought the casting was fantastic.
Casting, I was going to mention that the casting was really good.
They thought was good in there.
Well, and that was the guy. That was the guy from Galaxy Quest.
Sam Rockwell.
That's Guy Ingersoll or whatever his name. Yeah, Sam Rockwell. He's amazing in anything he does.
Yeah, Sam Rockwell just has that way about him that I liked him back in the original Charlie's Angels movie. You know, back in like.
That's 2000. Right. He was in that movie.
He did that sort of. You know, oh, I'm the sweet little geek, and no, I'm the bad guy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, he does have a certain way of acting that but it works in both these.
The casting was great. If they hadn't messed with the script, like if they hadn't messed with the plot, I think it would have done so much better.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was totally down for Mos Def as for like it worked.
Oh yeah, he worked.
Martin Freeman was perfect.
Yeah.
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 Well, Martin Freeman, you like him in anything he does.
Yeah.
Martin Freeman, yeah, he's.
But the movie, I don't know why they decided to go the route they did. I don't know if they felt they couldn't get 2 hours out of it. I don't get it really.
They Hollywoodify it?
Yeah, they Hollywooded it. Yep, that's pretty much it. Like I said, the cast was what really stood out. Slotty Barfast was played by
Bill Nye.
Yeah, he
did. Oh yeah,
he's a great actor. I mean, there's a lot of people in it that were just just really phenomenal. So
and Alan Rickman as Marvin.
Yeah, as the and there was a bunch of Easter eggs in that movie too. I mean, nods to the
Marvin, the original Marvin.
Marvin was in the queue and the Vogan Home Planet. He was in the queue there, and there was a bunch of other little things that were, but like that's what I always loved about the whole storyline. It's all the little things that he added, like the annoying doors. That was "Have a nice day." Every time you'd go through it, it was
smug, self-satisfied.
And then Marvin, of course, a depressed existential robot that is just I'm so depressed.
Life, don't talk
to me about life.
Alan Rickman was great, but
he was perfect to play Marvin. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I prefer Stephen Moore.
I think either one of them works. It's just the character is so great, and
Jim Broadbent had a go at it too. I don't know if you guys. He's another incredibly prolific actor who's been in everything, and he had to go at Marvin for some iteration. I want to say one of the radio iterations. I'm not sure, but
yeah. So I mean, but getting back to the book, of course, one of the classic things about the book is that it has a very, as Ford puts it, the calming says "Don't panic" on it. So it's this cover that's. So of course, again, anytime anybody says "Don't panic," we think of the "Don't Panic" from the Hitchhikers cover. I posted that, the little shirts. And the other thing was the sunglasses that Zaphod had, the danger sunglasses.
Oh, peril sensitive sunglasses.
The peril sensitive. So as anytime there's danger nearby, they go black, so you don't see it coming.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is what I'm saying. This stuff has trickled into popular culture everywhere. I was playing a roguelike game that was like a NetHack in space, and they have those peril sensitive sunglasses. You have Babblefish, you have.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's tons of, it's been tapped for a lot of stuff for fans probably. It's like another thing like they did, I don't know why in the movie they didn't do the ship. It was supposed to be like shaped like a sneaker. And it really wasn't.
What was shaped like a sneaker?
The spaceship, the Heart of Gold.
Oh, the Heart of Gold.
Yeah.
Oh.
If you know, in the TV show, it was shaped like a sneaker.
Okay.
I don't know why, but so they did it like round, and of course the whole storyline of how that whole improbability drive works and how it got figured out you know, that
Yes,
it was
yeah.
these pissed off scientists that never got invited to parties, and you know, that these other guys had invented this thing that would, whenever, what was it, it would make the host's underwear jump 2 feet to the right.
Yeah,
or
jump
something.
to the side.
I mean, where does he come up with this stuff? It was just, you're just reading it. It's like, this is so bizarre. It's hysterical, you know? So
well, that's part of the absurdist.
Yeah, it is exactly. It's very absurd. But, you know, and again, it goes back to those little, I think the best part for me is those excerpts from the guide where he reads, you know, so-and-so, the worst poetry was actually a girl from Earth.
Yeah, Mildred something or other.
Yeah. You know, one of them was, I love the one where, like, you know, somebody's intestines shot up and strangled them. So as they were
voluntarily, yes, yeah.
to save life and humanity or something.
He's just subtly poking fun at us, at humans, and he's actually doing exactly that. You know what? That's our road to Star Trek. It's our only road to Star Trek. The Hitchhikers does exactly what Star Trek does. It uses aliens to look back at humans and see what, you know, look at human ideas and human foibles and what humans do.
Well,
you're looking at
the difference. Yeah, the difference between Star Trek is Star Trek makes humans look out to be noble and smart and everything, and Hitchhiker's Guide does the exact opposite, where it makes us look like
the idiots that we actually probably are. But for example, when Star Trek did the black white and they were doing a commentary, like that is what I mean when they're actually commenting.
No, I know what you're saying, but I'm saying that again, it's kind of like a flip-flop thing, because, you know, the funniest part to me was, well, they realized that the Earth was constructed, and it was constructed to be a supercomputer to answer the question.
And it almost had the answer.
Of 42, and just before the answer was going to be revealed, the Vogons blew it up. So, and then through a course of events, Arthur and Ford find themselves back in time on the Earth when it was primitive, and find out that the people are these idiots that came from another planet that are all the phone sanitation people and hairdressers and the middle people.
Got booted. The implication, they don't say it outright, but when you read between the lines, all the other people on the planet were like, "Hey, you guys,
there's going to be a giant space. It was a giant space goat is coming to eat our planet, so we all need to
coming to eat the planet. You gotta go. Bye. Okay, we'll be right behind you. I promise. Bye.
Right. They got rid of all the middle management people.
But they all perished because of unsanitized telephones.
Right, but that's right. They did.
That's right. That's right. They did.
So then Ford, they're on Earth of early. There's primitive man, what we consider primitive man, and he's trying to teach them, you know, things to make them smart. And then he finally realizes that no, my ancestors aren't these guys; it's these idiots that came from this other planet. You know, and again, it just kind of perpetuates that the human race isn't really the smartest thing. The smartest thing on the planet was the dolphins that left right before.
And
so long, and thanks for all the fish. The name of the third book, by the way.
Yep.
And the obsession with digital watches.
So let's see if we can fire up the comment section here, because
right now it's Martin.
I'm just listening to this talk, and not many opinions are being smashed against each other. So Douglas Adams, you know, had his certain take on life, and then you had Terry Pratchett, who had a similar but a slightly different take on life, and he went off into the fantasy domain, created his old world building, and Douglas Adams kind of followed the Monty Python, you know, poking fun at this. Who is the one true satirist?
Whoa. All right. Yeah. Whoa. That one's hard. I'm thinking of I have a whole shelf of Terry Pratchett.
And be prepared to defend your statements.
If anyone, those of you who are not familiar, Terry, well, he's passed, and so has Douglas.
Douglas Adams passed early. He was like 2000 or something.
Terry wrote a series of books. He wrote Granny Weatherwax, and he wrote I should just go get him.
There's like 20 of them.
There's a gazillion of them
on the Discworld.
About Ankh-Morpork, which is the city on a continent on the back of a turtle, because the universe is a continent on the back of a turtle.
The great turtle Atuin.
The great, yes. And he also, like Douglas Adams, he also kind of, makes fun. Whoa, yeah, who is the great satirist? That is a phenomenal question, David, and we could debate that all
You're
night.
stalling.
My knee-jerk reaction actually is Terry, because Terry had was in the detail and in the relationships, whereas Douglas had more of a general observation. American, I mean, humans are obsessed with
bouncing
digital
around
watches,
here and there, and
you know, and he'd bounce around here and there, and but he was kind of broad and wide in general, whereas Terry wrote conversations, so he was really specific and he really dug into the psychology behind things, so he could write them out in that kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think I fall down into your opinion there, because Terry Pratchett built the relationships between these characters. He'd have a one-off character, and in one book, and that character would end up being, going on to 3 or 4 other books and doing interesting
things. It'd be somebody insignificant in one book, and then he'd be the hero of the next. Yeah.
That made just talking about relationships between the characters. It's another good point of how they all kind of connected. Of course, Arthur has a thing for Trillian because he met her at a party before she left, and Zaphod's the one that came and swept her off her feet. Of course, she didn't know at the time he was an alien.
Yeah.
But one thing they did in the movie is they kind of made that more relationship became like more romantic with Arthur and Trillian, whereas in the books they never.
That's true.
They never really. They were friends, but there was the romance didn't rekindle or whatever, because he never really in the movie they made him have more of a relationship with her. In the actual books, he just met her at the party. He was chatting, and then Zaphod kind of comes in and takes her away, kind of blocks her. I won't use the term that the current term, but you know what I'm talking about. Kind of blocks him from getting together with her. Whereas in the film, he looked like he really was going to get together with her, but he chose not to go to Madagascar with her because he didn't think she was serious. So. Again, I don't know if that was necessary to go that route. The books worked fine with them not.
Yeah, I completely agree.
She was far more intelligent than he was because she could understand all this galactic gobbledygook that the Infinity Drive.
Yeah, she was okay. I want to go back to Dave's question, but on that point, Rizzo, that's a great point because her, particularly in the 1981 BBC version, she reminded me of Holly on Red Dwarf. She was the ditzy genius, which is like a trope that kind of pops up every now and again, whereas usually female. Actually, no, I can't say that because you know what? Doctor Who is also an example of it. He can be played as the ditzy genius, where he seems addled and confused, and you think eccentric, and you don't think he's following what's going on, but he's got it. Kind of like Columbo, but he's really got it. And incidentally,
the 2 science folks in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Fitz and.
But she went off with Zaphod because he was exciting, and he said, "Hey, you want to look at my spaceship?"
Yeah,
thinking probably, I'm sure she didn't initially think he was serious, but he had a spaceship that he stole. But he's also the galactic president.
He's the galactic president. He is. He's another kind of ditzy, but he's not genius. He's just the ditzy.
He's just self-centered.
Interestingly,
that's really all he is. He's just very egotistical and self-centered. And
the way David Dixon played the Ford Prefect character, Britain kind of calls him the best Doctor Who they've never had. He played him kind of as a Doctor Who.
Yeah, I'll buy that. Yeah, I'll buy that. Yeah. He has, because he kind of knew a lot about a lot of stuff. He was a bit eccentric.
But just getting back to David, you know what? Sorry, your question about Terry Pratchett. Because I was just thinking about the books, and I tend to favor Granny Weatherwax and Margaret and Granny Ogden. I can't remember her name, and she's laying there, I ain't dead, and all that. But you know what it was? Is his character Death.
Oh yeah, Death is
Death. I mean that's the detail. The devil's in the details. So that's why when you're asking me who's the master satirist, I'm giving the edge to Terry Pratchett.
Okay, all right. Well, sadly, my question didn't light up the comment section with
It didn't. No one
argument. No, nobody seemed to care.
No one cares. We are talking about Hitchhiker's Guide, so
Yeah,
yeah. Martin's saying Ford is the guide to the story. You're right. He is. He's kind of pulling everybody through. Of course, then they end up through a course of events on Magrathea, which is the
great
legendary planet where planets are actually built.
Oh, where they're made. Sorry.
Yeah,
yes.
they're actually constructed there. And
that's right, on the planetary factory floor.
Right. Now, of course, what they did in the film with modern effects was really cool. I mean, you really got this sense that they were, because like the planet was actually in another dimension, like the inside of the planet, because otherwise how could you fit planets inside a planet? So it was like if you went into this other dimension. They really didn't touch on it too strongly in the BBC version, because it would have cost, I think, too much to try to create Magrathea as we saw the actual production floor as they put it in the film. But it was enough to know that it was there and they were on that planet. I think there was another great scene when they get to the planet, and the planet has an automated defense system, shoots 2 missiles at them, and the only way they can get away from the missiles is activate the improbability drive, which turns, because it's infinite improbability, so it turns the 2 missiles one into a sperm whale and one into a pot of petunias. So and of course the whale is, all of a sudden they go through this whole thing where the whale's like learning about its life, and as it's falling through the atmosphere towards this planet,
a big round.
what's this? We'll call it Earth.
And
then and the only thing that went through the petunia's mind was, oh no, not again. I mean, which we never find out why, of course.
We never find out why. Oh no, not again.
So that's the crazy stuff that you're just like, how did he come up? It's just this insanity. But just that one line, I don't know, Petunia. The only thing that went through Petunias is oh no, not again. So, which always reminds me of Spaceballs with when the guy's at the end when he's getting, it's the guy from Alien and.
Oh, John Hurt, yes. Says, oh, no, not again.
He's the guy.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello, my ragtime guy.
That was an awesome.
Oh, the alien
probably
jumps
the best scene of that whole film, really.
That's the movie we should do next week while we're on break.
Baseballs.
Baseball.
I would do that one. I love Mel Brooks stuff is great. I'd really like to do for Young Frankenstein, but it's out of our era.
Out of our jurisdiction.
Young Frankenstein?
Yeah. So that's one of my favorite films of all time.
Wait, anyway, Martin, you're right. Martin, you said Arthur bruised his upper arm. They make a point of that in that scene. And what was the point of that again?
They just mentioned it, but that was it. And they were like, oh yeah, they go through all these things that happen, and he bruised his arm.
Bruised his arm.
Yeah. No, don't do Spaceballs. Do Mel Brooks.
Do a good Mel Brooks movie. Okay. Sorry.
That's not the worst one, Phil. There are worse Mel Brooks movies than Spaceballs.
So let me look at my notes
again. Tights jumps to mind.
Oh, yeah.
So, but anyway,
one thing
we digress.
We didn't touch on, and this is for Ross Amico, is the theme music done by none other than the Eagles.
Oh.
That is, the song is called Journey to the Sorcerer. To the Sorcerer? Yeah, Journey to the Sorcerer. And it's by the Eagles. Don't ask me which album. I don't know which album. Not the album that has Hotel California, obviously. It's some other album. But every time I hear it, it's so like it
doesn't sound anything like the Eagles.
No, it sounds like a real synthy.
Yeah, it doesn't. That's interesting. I did not know that. I'd have to actually. Not that I don't. It's not that I don't believe him. It's just that's bizarre.
I can look up
that fits the whole bizarreness of the show.
I don't know how it came to be. That I don't know if the song already existed and they said, "Hey guys, can we use this?" Or if they approached the Eagles and said, "Hey, can you write a song for Hitchhiker?" I don't know. I suspected the song already existed. That's the vibe I get.
Maybe
somebody out there knows.
Know.
Captain Phil, you're our music guy because Ross isn't on tonight. Our other music guy.
Well, while we're waiting for that, how about those like graphics for the book? I love those. It's like a little visual treat every time.
And again, that was all hand animated.
Yes.
Computer,
all hand
Back
drawn
then,
stuff.
yes. Yeah, Dave, actually, yeah, those were great. And when you compare them to the graphics in the new movie, in the 2005 movie, they were better than the 2000. I'm actually going to give point to 1981.
Yeah.
Better graphics for the actual encyclopedia.
Yep. I think they tried to mimic it in the film to some, the same kind of look.
It wasn't the same color and movement.
But yeah, it was, I think
I liked it. Filled the whole screen. And because there was all writing, and because they were writing on diagrams and stuff, there were little jokes that you could, if you paused it and stopped and read everything. There are all these little in-jokes.
For freeze framing.
Not in-jokes, but jokes.
Yeah.
And all the little...
It's available, by the way, I think we mentioned it, available on Prime, I think. You can watch
it is available for free on Prime.
Available on DVD. I bought the original VHS, which was hard to get in the 90s. And it was on all, I don't know how many episodes there was, like 8 or 9 episodes or whatever it was, on one VHS tape.
Oh, man.
It runs in like super long play. In fact, some of the VCRs, like I had one that just wouldn't play it because it wanted to run it so slow, like the tracking wouldn't go that long. So
that's high quality right there.
It was available. I purchased the DVD.
Yes.
So, yeah, but it is available. If anybody that hasn't watched it or hasn't watched it in a long time and you have Amazon Prime, you can watch it on there. If you haven't seen it or you haven't read the books,
it's 6 half-hour episodes.
I would recommend doing either or.
Yeah, it's 6 half-hour episodes. You can shotgun it in an afternoon. But getting back to the encyclopedia, if you guys enjoy that style, they've also done other things in that style. So they've done the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Daleks, and it explains the origin of the Daleks, and it's done in that exact same style with like the animation, voice, and everything. So yeah, that's on YouTube. You can find it out there.
Yeah, again, the narration and those books to me were my favorite part of the show. If I had to pick up this, whenever they broke out and you heard the guide says that this is and I love that it opens up with space is big, really big. Like you can't imagine how big. Like it's way bigger than going to the corner pharmacist or whatever they use the British term for the drugstore. But it was just funny. It's just how they just it's big.
And Stephen Peacock has joined us. Hello, Stephen. How are you tonight?
So what is everybody that's watching? What's your favorite parts of this? I'm just curious to see what people really liked about it.
Yeah, what jumped out? Oh, wait. What jumped out at you guys? And did you see this or hear the radio or read the book first? Because I think it matters. I read the book, all the books. I've read a bunch of the books. I have read maybe 4 of the books. I actually have not yet read 5 and 6. Book 6 of the trilogy.
Yeah.
The increasingly inaccurate trilogy.
I think, this is going to make me go up into my loft where all my books are stored and pull. I have the original paperbacks, and I wish I had an original hardcover first edition. That would be awesome. But if anybody wants to gift me something, that would be a nice one. And but I do have the original paperbacks, the original run, and I still have them. So I think I need to reread it because it requires a good reread.
It is required reading.
Like I said, if you haven't read it or read the books, it's so good stuff. And Douglas Adams has other stuff. This isn't the only thing he's written, which is all kind of in the same genre of craziness that he likes to write. He was brilliant in a lot of ways. Oh yeah.
Just talking to the music, Phil said that apparently Douglas Adams picked that track, that Eagles track. He said that he wanted something that sounded sci-fi but was reminiscent of a traveler. So this banjo-based instrumental track hit him as ideal.
Yeah, it's perfect.
I mean, it works. Again, there's so many things that work about it. I can't, I'm trying to think of if I had to nitpick it, and I'm coming up blank with anything I felt, well, that could have been better, or it didn't really jive with the book, or, but I can't even think of something where they did it different than the book. It was verbatim right out of the book.
It was verbatim, like something kind of squished on restaurant at the end. They kind of rushed through that with Hot Black. Well, the very, very ending, the actual ending of them sitting there all dejected, Oh wait, maybe my memory is failing me. That's not how Restaurant at the End of the Universe ends, is it?
I don't recall.
I think it does. I think it ends the same spot where he's trying to teach
Maybe it does.
the native people to read or whatever, and then they do the test where they have Arthur just starts sticking his hands in to see if like because apparently he has the answer in his brain because he was right there.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So they start pulling out the tiles, basically like the of letters, and
Oh yeah, and they're rearranging them, and it was yeah,
like the life, the universe.
it was like 9 times 6 or something. I can't remember.
Now, check me on this. I don't remember if this made it into the TV series or if it was just in the books, but I remember there was a scene where I think Arthur wipes a whiskey bottle with his towel, and it goes off onto a diversion saying how that actually killed off a colony of bacteria on the towel, that instead of cleaning the bottle, it killed off a colony of bacteria on the towel that would have destroyed all life across the universe. That was
like the other story they go off to with the when I think it was Arthur says something and it goes through a wormhole.
Well, yes, there's that too.
To the future or the past or something, and starts a war, and then they figure out where it came from, somebody from Earth, and then they show up and they realize that they're only like this big, like the whole fleet would fit in your hand, and it gets swallowed up by a dog.
Yeah. Like, Phil had pointed that one out.
Never even knew that they were there. They were coming to attack Earth.
Oh, that's awesome.
They had a little problem with scale that they got wrong. Martin just said Dirk Gently. That's another one.
Something else that Douglas wrote,
Adams
which
Dirk
is
Gently's
a Netflix series. Yeah.
Oh, it's Netflix.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it Hulu? Did I get mixed up? It's Netflix.
It might be.
Yeah. Speaking of Hulu, they are supposedly gonna crank out yet another Hitchhiker's Guide. So I haven't. That's still kind of in the works. Let me Google that real quick for you to get the latest and greatest on that.
Yeah, Martin likes the scene where they evade the missiles. Yeah, that is a classic. That's one of my favorites too. The whole thing with the whale and the petunias is just epic in my opinion. So there are so many parts of it that are just great. When you get into the later books, it gets even more weird. I think one of the later books, which was not in the BBC version, so I'm not going to talk about it, but one of the things that stood out was they go to this planet where the whole planet is economy and everything is to keep this one party operating. This party that kind of floats around the planet, and the whole planet is there to support this party so it never ends. So like all their gross product goes to keeping this party going. It's just something crazy that he comes up with. But that was in one of the later books. It wasn't in either Hitchhikers or Restaurant. So Milliways, by the way, is the name of the restaurant at the end of the universe, in case anybody.
Yeah. So I guess Hulu already had Hitchhikers. I don't know. I'm just because it says they've greenlit the second season. So which means I've completely missed the first season. I do.
Maybe is it not available in the States, perhaps? Because they will do that sometimes with Europe or Britain.
I have to confess, I'm not always on. I'm rarely on Hulu, so maybe I just missed it. If anybody has seen this thing and know what it's what it.
So you're saying that there's a current Hulu has.
Yeah.
Wow, I missed that.
Bill, you said you were going upstairs.
Anybody
Bill's back
online that knows about that, please share.
Yeah, please share.
Yeah, Michelle's saying she likes the restaurant scene.
Yeah.
It sells itself. And that was Peter Davidson. You're right.
Yeah, we were talking about that. We were doing All Roads Lead to Doctor Who tonight.
Yeah. I never knew that was Peter Davidson until I looked, because of course, until you see it in IMDb there.
Yeah, you can't recognize
it. But that whole scene, I think it was funny where they were waiting for the, because it's the end of the universe. So there was the one religious group that was waiting for the return of their prophet or something, and he does show up like right at the last second, poof, and then it's a lot of crazy stuff that they do in that. And actually, the guy, the other thing I noticed, like when they did the newscast and they're talking about Zaphod stealing the thing, and it's like he has this weird, like pancake makeup on. Like I don't know why they did them up. I guess that was what they thought was spacey. Like the guy that was the newscaster, he had like this white.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah.
Oh yes, yes.
I don't know why they did that, but anyway, it worked. It was funny.
Well,
but I
well,
noticed
the MC at
the
Miller,
MC was the same way. Yeah, I just so I was getting.
the MC at Milliways reminded me a lot of the character Stanley Tucci played in the Hunger Games, where he's like the total over the top TV show host.
That's Jack May, the head waiter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
well, no,
Jack.
head waiter, the
The
MC.
guy that was the MC at Miller.
Yeah,
Oh, the MC. Oh, yeah. Who the heck? What was his name? I don't know.
Yeah.
I did like the whole hot black thing with what was the name of the band?
Disaster Area.
Disaster Area, and how they get to this whole thing again, kind of a commentary on modern rock and roll. You know, where the speakers are so loud that you have to be in a bunker, like, and the band's not actually on the planet. It's like transmitted from a satellite to this.
Yeah, they're not playing. They're
waste to the planet because it's so loud. It's like, you know.
Yes, but he's spending the year dead for tax purposes.
Yeah, he's right. He's spending a year dead for tax purposes. We could get away with that. That would be.
Yeah. Martin is saying you're asking what is typically British. A scene with the argument with Bram Photo and the Sages. Yes. That's with the computer when they were talking to the computer?
Yeah, when he was like, I demand.
Yeah, that is how trade unions used to work in the 70s. Okay, so this was 1981. So yeah, that would have been very topically and very, very topical and very.
Me as an American teenager didn't get that. So.
Yeah, that's something that the American kids were not. It was going right over our heads.
Exactly. Well,
yeah, Michelle, the Heart of Gold. That was a cool ship. It was actually a beautiful ship.
Yeah, it looked like a
they lost it,
I was just always intrigued by the notion of this infinite improbability. Be everywhere at once and then call us back to where you want to be.
Yeah.
Right, and you could be anywhere, and that's how they saved. Of course, Arthur and Prefect get ejected out of the Vogon ship, and before they suffocate, they get picked up.
They get picked up by the Heart of Gold.
It's a total quantum notion of your probability function.
Any possibility can happen.
Your wave function goes out to the ends of the universe, and then coalesces back to a single point.
Yeah, that was hence the fact that it warps reality because anything is possible at any point, which is kind of it is a neat concept. Of course, it's not real in any way, but it's a funny way to get around.
2 to the 900.
Yes, that's right.
And 1 against.
We have normality. Been falling. That's right. Yeah, so
hey guys, hi, I'm Eddie.
Ship's
computer.
Hi guys. Eddie was the name of the ship's computer.
He was like relentless, Eddie and Marvin were like two sides because Eddie was relentlessly cheerful, and then Marvin was just horrifically depressed.
Hey guys, there's a couple of missiles coming right at us.
Yeah. Hey guys, have a great day. Don't upset anything.
The happy doors. Have a great day. What else? Just highly improbable. Yeah, that's true.
It was a great ship, and they let it go. They should have kept it.
Yeah, I know. That was always just funny because you mentioned that because when I was reading the books, I'm like, they lost the ship.
Yeah, they lost the ship. Go get that ship back.
It bothered me. It did bother me when I was reading the book that they lost the ship.
Yeah, it bothered me too. I was like, go get that ship.
Yeah, like wait, go back and get your ship. But they ended up getting in the Hot Black's stunt ship, which
they got the stunt ship
was programmed to crash.
Dive into a sun.
So in the miniseries, Marvin ostensibly dies, right? Because they leave him on that ship.
Does he? Yeah, I guess he must.
They don't. I don't think they specify that he doesn't. In the books, he doesn't die. He gets out or off or something, and dies another way. He dies. Yeah, he also dies, but some other
3 times the age of the universe. So he's had a full life.
Remember, he was on Magrathea, and they left him there when they went to. And he ends up in the car park because Magrathea is actually the same place as the restaurant at the end of the universe, and that's how they find that he's like the valet.
The first 30 million years were the
he's
worst.
Been down there for billions of years.
Martin's mentioning the cops. Those 2 cops were like the only 2 non-British people, which is why I noticed the accents earlier. Those 2 cops were played by Mark hang on, I got them here somewhere. Where are they? Mark Smith, the Bang Bang cop, who played on Space in 1999, and the other guy's name was Matt Zimmerman, who played Shooty. He played on Thunderbirds. Thunderbirds are a go. But one was from New York City, and the other one was from Toronto. We had an American and a Canadian, the only non-Brits in the show. And then everybody else had American accents, which is why it threw me. Like it was weird and it threw me.
Well, it's funny because British can do American accents better than Americans can do British accents. I've seemed to.
Not David Prowse.
What's that?
Not David Prowse. Everybody go back and watch David's scene.
How many actors? The guy that plays Rick Grimes on Walking Dead to me was the first time I saw him interviewed because I'd watched seasons of Walking Dead and I saw him and he's got this heavy British accent. I'm like, it was just so weird because he plays a Georgia sheriff, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, even in Battlestar, the guy that played Apollo. Same thing, you know.
Oh yeah, Jamie Bamber.
This British accent.
Yeah. I forget he's British.
And Gillian Anderson, and you know, what I'm saying it's like they seem to just tackle it better. That the point where we can't tell.
Sure, like even Tom Holland.
Yeah, Tom.
Yeah, Tom Holland. Yeah. So that's why I said it, and I've seen it the reverse, and it doesn't work as well. That's just my personal opinion, of course. I could be wrong. Or not.
But Trillian did okay. Her accent was
no,
okay.
she did a fine American accent.
Zaphod was fine. Yeah. Zaphod had moments. David Prowse not so good. It was because he wasn't. Poor David wasn't just doing a straight American accent. He was doing like Dory that kind of New York kind of hey you guys. He was trying to do that, and so it didn't.
It was like almost like a parody of American what.
Yeah. It had some strange sounds in it. Like if those of you who like really like to do the phonetics of accents and stuff, there were some strange sounds in there.
Well, yeah, if you want to talk Americans doing British accents, look at Renee Zellweger.
Renee did okay.
All the Bridget Jones films.
Yeah, all the Bridget Jones's diaries.
She's surrounded by the great big book of British actors, and here's this girl from Texas trying to keep up.
Trying to keep up. I can't do it. I mean, maybe if I was there a long time and got to hear it a lot.
Phil's saying the end of BSG, I assume he means the 2004 version, is very much like the ending of Hitchhikers. Yeah, and kind of, I guess, in a way, you could kind of make that connection because they go to Earth, and this is how it all starts again. Because I don't know if you're familiar, if you guys, I assume you saw Battlestar, the 2004.
Yes.
The very end, they're on Earth, but they're kind of watching it as if, you know, this is going to happen again, that we're going to build the AIs. And
does that mean the B arc were full of Cylons?
Could be.
Could be. You never know. They were the worst Cylons ever. One Cylon was in the bath the whole time. Like, he must have rusted out.
Hugh Laurie, I guess, there's another one that does... he's on a current show, that HBO, that I watched the one episode of, and I think it was kind of trying to be funny. I don't know if you've seen it, Avenue... Yeah,
Avenue 5.
Yeah.
I love it. But see, I like that. I watched
the first episode, and I'm like...
Yeah, you either get it or you don't. You either get it or you don't. That is some dry.
Well, it was funny, but a lot of it I was just like.
That humor, they put it in the oven and dried it out like they were making jerky. That's how dry it is. But I love it.
But that was shriveled up and just kind of was.
It shriveled up and crumbled into dust. And Mary Beth jerky was like, humor. Yes, I love it.
I guess I'll have to watch. I only watched the first episode of that.
So it carries on like that. Nothing changes. You got the gist of it. So I mean, if it's not your tea, it's not your tea.
Yeah, I don't know. I really can't. It didn't suck me in. Let's put it that way, and say, oh, I got to watch more.
I watched every episode. I couldn't wait. I hope it comes back. I got the feeling
it's
going to.
How the ratings were.
Nobody in America liked it. No one liked it. Everyone was like, well, I don't get it.
Well, it is HBO, so you probably won't see it again if they couldn't sell it in the U.S.
HBO usually does such amazing stuff too.
They usually do, but they've had a couple of clunkers. So
that's true. They have. So as we wind down, guys, just a couple quicker things. First of all, hey everybody, say happy birthday to Dave.
Oh.
Right. And Mary Beth, don't let her.
Yeah, it was me yesterday. It was me yesterday, and it's Dave today. So
Oh, you.
partying. But also, hey, you guys, could you all send some good vibes out to Roy? Because, and he put this on Facebook, so I'm not telling secrets. He has a kidney stone, a stubborn kidney stone that it doesn't want to pass. And I don't know if you guys have ever had one, but they're excruciating. So can you guys send some good vibes to Roy, please, that this thing just goes away?
Use your Vulcan mind powers to
Use your Vulcan mind powers. It's been bothering him for a week now. Or longer than that. It's been bothering him for a while now. So
yeah, so that's true. Thank you for mentioning that. So
we
I don't
would
know.
like for it
I
to
assume
go.
he's still doing his show Friday. I don't know.
Yes, Friday he's doing one of my favorites, the Time Machine. H2O. Did you guys see on Big Bang
George
Theory?
Pal?
Was it George Pal?
It's the original version.
It's the original one, the old one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you guys see on Big Bang Theory they got the time machine and then
Yes.
they acted out and they're going and fast forward?
Yeah.
That is like the best scene.
That was done well. That's a good one. You're right. The original I like the best. It's so funny. Again, you go back to the old one from the 60s as opposed to
the Morlocks and the Eloy.
And I watched it as a kid on TV, and it was quite scary. The Morlocks were kind of scary. So
Eloy shows up in every single stinking New York Times crossword puzzle.
Eloy's around a lot.
With that, they don't have Eloy in it. It's like
maybe
we've got a bunch of vowels together. We can cram that in
there. Yeah, we just need a bunch of vowels.
Yeah. So obviously,
or maybe they're just big H.G. Wells fans.
Maybe,
yeah, it's H.G. Wells. Obviously, Roy's doing the 1961. Yes, there was a 2002 one. Don't worry about that. Yeah, maybe we'll do it someday.
There was even a one that was made in the 80s.
No, the 2002 one. Part of it was filmed in Troy, New York, a block from my office, and we went down there at 1 a.m. to watch them film. And,
no.
Yeah.
There was another version.
Cool.
And it was the most well, I don't have to tell you guys, it was the most tedious thing ever because they'd call background horses and people be walking, and then what's his name would start off on the wrong foot. No, hold on, reset.
Yeah.
There was a 1978 version.
There was 1970. No, so obviously Roy's doing the best version.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I think the 1960 version totally holds up.
Oh, absolutely.
It totally holds up.
It's excellent. It's excellent. In fact, that's another one. Rod Taylor. It's a classic. It's right up there with 20,000 Leagues and Planet.
I recently watched 20,000 Leagues again because I saw it on Disney Plus there, and my God, how sumptuous a production that was.
Yeah.
It is just a visual feast.
Yes, they put a lot into that set. They put a lot into the submarine set. I was researching it when we had when Doug Drexler came on. Mm-hmm. I was researching it. Oh, they poured money into that set, and they chose the velvets and the fabrics and everything just so carefully. Yeah, they did.
It is just magnificent. And of course, James Mason as Nemo is just the perfect Nemo in my mind.
Yeah, you're right. Again, that was another classic that they've had modern iterations of, but never could really quite.
And they reshot the whole scene with the squid.
The squid got reshot.
That all got reshot. We were talking about Enemy Mine, and Enemy Mine got reshot, and we were like, oh, so expensive. Wow. No, they did. They've been doing this reshoot thing since.
It's not a new thing, but
not a new concept. Yeah.
What it cost them to do that, it was.
It was amazing. Yeah.
My idiot dog barking at nothing. Sorry, my dog started your dog.
Cascade of dogs. Welcome
to my daily. This is my work. Yeah, I have to deal with these idiot dogs. Love them, but man, they drive you crazy sometimes.
And Mary Beth is on mute.
So next week, just while she's dealing with barking animals, I am taking a little. I don't know. I'm going to be away, so I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to try to do something. If it may not be me, maybe just Mary Beth.
So next week we're not sure what's going to happen.
So
I want to make Mayor Beth watch Highlander 2, The Quickening.
Yes. Dave's going to do it by himself, and he's he wants to do
Dave's gonna do it, yeah.
the Quickening. So that would have to be a make me watch because I hadn't seen. Maybe that's a good one. I don't know. So we'll do something. So just hang tight.
We'll figure it out. Hang it. We'll announce it. We'll let you know.
Watch this space for further
As
information.
they say, yeah.
In the meantime, go watch Roy on Friday.
In the meantime, watch Roy on Friday. He's not sure what he's doing on Sunday yet either, so we're all in the same boat.
Yeah. So, so that is 8:00. Does anybody have any last thoughts about Hitchhiker's Guide? Because I just is another one of those. I'm gonna rewatch it and read it now.
Yeah, it needs to be reread.
It needs to be reread, and really, I really highly recommend if you have not read the books, read the books.
Yeah, Sue totally wants us to do Highlander, but I don't think she understands that I'm talking about Highlander 2, The Quickening.
Highlander 2.
Which Dennis wrote awful. I think he means Highlander 2. No, Dennis. Dave has defended it as being excellent.
It is a prime example of 90s schlock sci-fi. You cannot compare it with the ones before or after. It has to stand on its own.
I think we could do, like I said, I think we could do like a whole 80s, 90s schlock sci-fi. Just cover a whole bunch of them. You know, rate them. The top 10 worst sci-fi films of the 80s and 90s. 10. Would it be hard to get 10? Because there's a lot.
That's right. But
maybe we'll do that down the road. We'll have that. We'll put up like a viewer poll. What's your top 10 worst sci-fi films?
Well, you know, there's a lot of schlock video game films too, and
that's true.
I remember when the Street Fighter film came out with Jean-Claude Van Damme and Raul Julia in there.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was not a great film, but I loved it because it was like one of the last roles that Raul Julia did, and he came into it.
Such a great actor,
playing this villain with childlike glee.
My favorite
just rolled off him. He was just so happy to be that villain.
Him as Gomez Adams is my favorite role.
Him as Gomez, yeah.
Him as Gomez Adams was phenomenal. I mean, he comes up with that line. They say a man who defends himself has a fool for a witness. As God is my witness, I am that fool. He was just brilliant in that whole film. The first one I'm talking about, well, the second one was okay too, but the first one was a great movie. Maybe that's what we need to do. I don't know, because that has a pretty good cast. The film adaptation of, which is unusual that when a film adaptation of a TV show from an old actually works really well. So.
Oh, Martin suggested He-Man and Master of the Universe, Dolph Lundgren.
That's pretty schlocky.
Oh, that's
schlocky.
That's big time schlock with Frank Langella.
Dolph Lundgren.
Oh, Dolph Lundgren and Frank Langella. Yeah. Bring it on, baby.
Yeah. No, I think I see some future shows in our making. I think we're gonna.
Yeah, I think I do too.
I don't know if we could do a whole show on Masters of the Universe, but it'd be a tough one to slog through that one. So I think we're gonna have to take like a group of schlocky. Or who knows? Maybe we could just do that as free for all next week.
That's right.
So we'll work
I think the Honest Trailers guys did the Masters of the Universe, and their point was that it was all an excuse to get people to say, I think, Gwildor. It's like they kept saying this again and again and again and again. Because that little Billy Barty, I think, character.
I don't remember it I mean, I remember it, but I don't think I could. Yeah, I remember like parts of it. I don't remember the whole movie from beginning to end.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Well, there's probably some trauma there that blocked it out, you know.
Yeah. Well, I really was getting to that, getting it out of the age to watch the cartoon. Like I was already a teenager when that came out, so I really wasn't watching the cartoon. Much like Transformers and stuff like that.
I had suggested, I was like, can we do just a night on Saturday morning cartoons? He was like, well, all our good cartoons are in the 70s, so that's Roy.
All the good stuff I grew up in,
like we outgrew. By the time the Smurfs came along, we outgrew.
Morning cartoons.
The morning cartoons and live action.
Blue Justice.
Like Land of the Lost,
and live action,
Dr. Shrinker, and all that, and then Electric Woman and Dyna Girl, and
all that,
Sam, and all those.
Boo and
So So all that stuff I used to love as a kid, but Roy will have to do them.
Yeah, Roy's gonna have to do all that good stuff.
Do that stuff. So,
All right,
guys.
kids.
I think it's 8:05, so I think we've probably beaten this one to death. But thank you for joining us, Dave. Of course, thank you for joining us. Happy birthday one more time.
Anytime.
I'm sure. And what 29th birthday are you at? You don't have to.
I've racked up a few 29.
A few 29th birthdays. All right, guys. Well, hopefully we'll see you next week. And live long and prosper.